trauma, I feel like, just like you walking down the street, let's try to visualize this. You want to go down the street to buy akara or whatever. Now, between now and you're getting to that place, you are aware of every possible outcome. Okay, as I go out, my guy will probably open gate, or people will probably walk by. But what you don't expect is people jumping out of the bush to rob you of your belongings,
of course,
or shoot in the air, or like any unpredictable outcome can put a stop on your plan from getting to from going to this place to that place.
Yes.
So trauma also works that way. You have a planned behavior. You have expectations. You have mapped out your environment, psychologically speaking.
Yes.
You have mapped out your environment. It's almost like if you put a rat. I think this is some psychological as well. If you put a rat in a new place, before the rat can sleep, it will first go to every corner, check every corner, make sure that everywhere is safe. There's a door here. Okay, that means that I will sleep this way. Look towards the door. Humans operate like that, so you map out your territory before you become safe. Now, something happens within that territory that you did not predict, and that can disrupt your psychology.
Yes.
And when that disruption takes place, it is very, very hard to get rid of it. You can forgive, but you cannot forget.
You can't forget.
Because your brain has, indicated that this event, this place, poses danger to you.
Danger.
And it's very, very difficult to get rid of that idea in your head.
Yes, and that is exactly what trauma means.
Yeah.
Okay. So and then the one thing about all traumatic event trends that I have experienced, do I just say experience?
No, it's fine.
That I have
you've observed.
That I've observed, okay, that I've seen. It is always very shameful. They can't talk about it. That is why it became more worst, because when you go through a traumatic event and then you can talk about it, you will heal quickly. Okay, but when it is so shameful that it poses a stigma, and
it even poses danger to you if you ever talk about it to some authorities.
Exactly.
Someone's like a victim blaming.
Exactly.
What were you doing there? What did you go there? Exactly. Why did you drink? Why did you do that?
Exactly that. Because we are in an environment that doesn't really care that much about mental health. So because of that, they have to keep it to themselves and be going through this week in, week out, and they just try their best as much as possible to just learn to live with it. People learn to live with it, and
because you've chosen to live with it instead of addressing it, it doesn't go away. Ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to a new episode of the Big Face Podcast. My guest here today is making an appearance for the second time on the show, and out of the goodness of his heart, he managed to make some time to make the second appearance. We are doing this very early in the morning, right? I call this like 7:30 because he said he has somewhere else to be. So I am very grateful, Allegro, that you've managed to make it here on time, even though we had some problem with the door. And before we went on air, we spent extra 10 minutes talking about the podcast and some plans for it. So Allegro, thank you so much for being here for a second time. I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself to people just knowing you for the first time. So if you could do that before we move on.
Okay. All right. Yeah, of course. My name is Sheyi Paul, and my brand name is Allegro. So of course I'm a tutor on campus, and I'm a graduate of psychology.
Yep.
And of course I like education. So any platform that fosters educating people.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I like it. I always want to be part of that.
Yep, I know. I can tell because I remember you taking me on a level. Yeah, at a level you took me psychology and philosophy, and I think you contributed greatly to my pursuit of knowledge, you could say.
Yeah,
because what differentiates you from the lecturers is how interactive you are with your students. You have this Socratic setting where you throw something around, people say something, and then it's also interactive, and it makes it not so much as you dumping information on us, but us actively trying to learn. It's almost like the same thing Einstein said. Like, schooling is not just to memorize facts; it's to allow people to think.
Yeah.
So I think you do that well enough, and your student must be proud of you. I am very proud of you, and thank you for if I didn't have you another level, I don't know what my field would have been. So thank you very much. And guys, luckily for me, Allegro is also my therapist. Yeah, it's my therapist, and we have plenty of things to discuss here today. But before that, can you share with us a fun fact about yourself?
Well, yeah, of course. Well, come to think of it, was there to be fun about it too?
Actually,
other than teaching and
but that can be fun now.
Of course,
you have fun.
I enjoy it.
I like sometimes you call us to come for tutorial.
Yeah, of course, I still do that.
Yes.
To my students.
Wow, so that must mean it's fun for you.
Of course, yeah, that's the joy. We see students to teach, and then we see their life changing for better, getting better with every ramification of their lives. That's the joy. That's what's fuel the passion.
And you also make it personal, not just within the classroom.
Exactly.
Because when it ends, you tell people to text you,
of course,
what they've learned in class, or give them an assignment.
Yes. Because that's what will bring results. Okay. Yeah. Students engaging with what they are doing, and then not just doing it as per, okay, we are in school, this is what we should do, and then we should do it and forget it. We should allow you to change us, because there should be a difference when we enter school, and then when we are leaving school, there should be a clear difference. I can see a difference in myself. I knew when I entered OAU, and I knew when I graduated. So there's a major difference in perceptions, how I think, how I see things, how I handle things.
That should be the core of education.
Of course, that is the core of education.
Well, I think that has been bastardized.
Of course.
Because everyone just wants to get a degree, make money, memorize things. And I think lecturers also enforce that idea, just bombard them with scripts, come to class, just tell them what information they need, then come for text, or give them this textbook to read. There's no that tango. I can tell you for certain that throughout this semester, I have attended a lot of classes, and the only one I've enjoyed was held by a master's student. I swear to God.
Wow,
it was held by a master's student, and I think that one major factor that made that the case for me is how much he was actually willing to interact with us. He will bring up a question, then elaborate it, and then he will also invite us to join him in dissecting whatever it might be, and also encourage us to ask questions, not just 5 minutes to end of the class, any question, no question, then move out. He was so different, and I actually enjoyed it, and I was looking forward to his next class. He did not write any note for us, but he said next class we are going to try and write some notes, come with your pen and everything. So it was funny, it was engaging. I think that this is what education should be like. This is what most of us are missing. Because if that avenue was not missing, they wouldn't have been an Allegro.
Yeah, of course. It
was missing. People did that, and people like me, because I'm very inquisitive.
Yeah.
And I found you, and it worked well for me. So you think it was a fun fact, but
okay, all right.
So I sent you a couple of things that are a little interconnected that I want us to discuss. Now, I don't know where to start from, but I suppose I should start with I should start with loneliness.
Of course. Yeah.
I think
a good place to start.
That's not a good place. It's a very dark place. It is not. It's not a good place. It's a story there that
of course.
Yeah, I know. Okay, it's not a good place. I don't like.
Yeah,
but either it leads to the next topic I want to discuss.
Yeah.
So, from most statistics I've seen, I'm of a social scientist, right?
Of course.
And I like to look at social human in their environment and humans to humans, and looking at some of the statistics regarding population and everything, I found out that Gen Z is the loneliest generation ever by all metrics. The loneliest, usually we have people who know their neighbors, but nobody knows their neighbors. Nobody knows their neighbors. Everyone is just cooped inside, rather watch Netflix all day than talk to their neighbor. No, we hold parties, and I think you can lead everything back to the COVID-19 lockdown, because that really did a whole lot to our brain.
Yes.
It was called the Great Reset.
Of course, great actually reset indeed.
So before I even go on, do you think that this thing I brought up, COVID-19, do you think it contributes to the rate of loneliness among people today?
Yes, not just loneliness alone. It's contributed to people actually seeing the reality of the country they are in. Okay, there's no movement, then there is no school, then what else can I do? Okay, that is why people started developing a lot of strange habits. Because I came across some people that they were like, it was during COVID-19 I started masturbating, that it was during COVID-19 I started doing drugs, okay, because I'm forced to be at home for a long period of time. I'm not able to engage with my with my daily activities on normal good day without COVID-19. So I think that has it altered a lot of people's personality trends. Okay, it altered it. So loneliness per se, I won't say that is when they force everybody to stay at home, I don't think it will induce loneliness.
But don't you think it's greatly increases some sense of isolation within people? Like maybe you and your ex are now like months apart. You and your partner are now months apart from seeing each other, and you and your friends are months apart. And I mean, you can even talk about it from the sociology perspective. People are supposed to be socialized accordingly. Family, school, friends, But imagine those who have to stay at home maybe 2 extra years because of COVID-19.
Okay.
People that should be in the proper age of moving out of their parents' house, exploring life. This sense of I'm too familiar with my environment and it's something new. So I want to lay more emphasis here on loneliness, perhaps not in relation to COVID-19.
Okay.
But how do you think people come to be lonely? I mean, you can talk about the digital age, for example. Everyone is on the social media, but no one is social. Right?
Yeah.
They are also connected, but so disconnected.
Yes.
Right? People go to parties, they are always on their phone. People are in bus, they are on their phone. People are on bike, they are on their phone. People are on airplane, they are on their phone. People are at restaurants with their friends, they are on their phone. People are in a room with their friends, they are on their phone. So everyone is, and because the phone is now an active part of our lives.
Yes.
So much that we don't even realize it.
of course.
Of course, you work there, you school there, you study there, your friends are there. So it becomes an active part of your life. So much that you wake up, the first thing you do is check a message. So do you think the digital world we find ourselves in contributes largely to some sense of loneliness that people have? You think about that?
Okay, I would say in some ways, because I think loneliness, a lot of people normally have a tendency to be lonely. Everybody have tendency to be lonely. Okay. Of course, in fact, psychologically, it is normal. It is very essential that for some period you have to be lonely. Okay, well, it's just that it must not persist for a long period of time. Okay, because being lonely sometimes helps you think more well and then make better decisions. So it's just that it must not persist for a long period of time. So I think the digital, because when people are still engaging with their phones, I would say they are not lonely. I would say they are just channeling their route of engagement. They are supposed to be engaging with people, friends they can physically see, at least for the time being. Of course, I take my friend to a restaurant when we're talking, and then all of a sudden I'm just pressing my phone. I'm not even making conversations again. So I think they just choose to see their phone as a safe haven for conversations and for connections, rather than they are friends that they can physically see and touch. Okay, so I think that is exactly the trend. Because
Allegro, I don't want to cut you off here,
Okay.
but just to make sure that we're on the same page.
yeah,
When it comes to channeling that energy
Yes.
or that mode of communication
Yes.
to something like a mobile device, don't you think that it greatly depreciates things that are tied to human nature, like oxytocin?
yeah,
Oxytocin is the hormone, the positive hormone that is releasing your energy based on like physical touch, holding hands, working together, something that make us relate physically.
yeah.
But when that has been lost or when that is missing for quite some time, don't you think it has like negative impacts in how people relate? Don't you think?
Yes, of course, it definitely have a negative impact in how people relate, because people will find out that they don't know actually how to relate, because that is the problem. That is exactly the problem. People don't know how to make friends. People don't know how to meet new people and talk to them and relate with them. Why? Because they've been trained, or they've been influenced by the digital world, that okay, they make all the emojis, they use different emojis to stickers. And
I've noticed that my friends, right? when my male friends, especially my male friends, when they meet new female friends, usually when you ask for people's phone number, it's either to call them or harass them.
yeah.
Well, now it's for viewing WhatsApp statuses.
So you just
That's crazy.
collect each other's number
Or
from
we
them.
go, what's your IG? What's your Snap?
What's your Snap?
There's no that brief moment of, wow, I think I like you. We talk, we act like humans, but our interaction that should primarily be physical has been transported to this digital world. And because if not for emoji, there's no way you can actually tell someone's
Exactly how you feel.
right? But the eyes don't lie. I can tell how you feel just by looking at you. Actually, get so like our interaction that should be primarily physical has been transported to this digital world. And I think, but now dialing back to that thing you said about everyone having the tendency to be lonely and how it is needed.
Okay.
I'm a creative writer.
Okay.
And I'm not lying to you, I enjoy my solitude.
Of course.
I romanticize it.
Of course.
Right. When I'm writing, the best time for me to write is the middle of the night when I'm feeling perhaps.
Yeah.
Right. You just get these swats of like
When you're alone.
when you're brooding, when you're nostalgic, and those are the time I write some of the best things I've ever written in my life.
Of course.
Not like the when I'm all colorful.
Of course.
It's when I'm isolated.
Yes.
And I noticed that it was actually bad for me. Speaking of COVID-19 was the moment I had this habit of studying every day. All of us, we develop different, you either manifest into your interest or you take on new ones that are kind of bad for you.
Oh, okay. I think for your home case, you've always had interest in study.
My therapist is trouble now.
Okay, you've always had interest in study, but the time and then the school activities, everything, it's not permitting it. So COVID-19 just gave you an opportunity to explore more what you've always wanted. That is actually the truth for your own case. So then going more into it kind of modified your personality in turn. Then even after the whole activities go back together and everybody is recovering from COVID-19, you refuse to recover.
I remember when I gave to my therapist. I remember when I called you, where I was telling you about some of the things I was studying, I was consuming, and you told me that, Ismail, there's a reason that when you go to school, they break down the things you should know into semesters.
Yeah.
Now you are going from that, and you're going from things you should know on the level to 500 level.
500 level.
And then consuming them like one night.
One night.
Instead of like 2 semesters.
Of course.
So he said, you need to calm down, because that was like, like really hard into my mental strain. So I do believe that, and because I romanticize my loneliness a lot, he even advised me to go out. And I thank God for Isaac. Isaac is this organization that made me travel. I was in Enugu. No, this year I was at Abuja, Enugu, and Ibadan. So, and I met different people. So, but back to loneliness here. I do think that when we delegate physical interactions down to the digital realm, it diminishes things that make us human, because we are very social. We are social beings. We evolve together. We evolved sharing food together, raising each other's children, and children, hunting together. Like all of these social aspects was, we diminish it, and that can create a negative feedback loop. And I think that this negative feedback loop can be bad for you. Now let me tell you a story. It happened sometime this year. It was when I went to this Ibadan conference, and I think that was the loneliest I'd ever felt. It was such a random surge, but it was so powerful. I was so disoriented. So here's what happened. For one, there was a girl I was looking forward to meeting, because we've been talking about the phone. And well, seeing her, it didn't seem like she was looking forward to meeting me, because when we met, she crossed that, and that felt random. Like, okay, bro, I've been dying to see you. What are you doing? So that went on. Then it was time for us to get our food. I left my phone in the room, gave the key to a roommate of mine, and when we got to that part where we were supposed to get food, the light was dark. Everything was switched off. The only part where you find light is where we're serving food. Like a football field where on the seat is where everyone can get their food and eat, then go back to your room. So that night, I felt this random surge of loneliness, because nobody was looking for me. It was so disorienting. I actually wanted someone to just be like, Ismail, I've been looking for you. Someone to just make me feel seen. I did not feel seen. And I had friends there. It's not like I didn't have friends. I had friends there. People who like read my writings, who listen to my podcast. But that was probably the worst 2 hours of my life this year. And I think that most people, we go through this. I think especially as adults, you go through this at one stage of your life. So what do you think kind of happened there? Do you think it was my expectation? Do you think it was just, nature playing pranks on me, or just natural things?
Okay, yeah, it is just you made mention of something just now. You said, is it just my expectation? Yeah, I think your expectation for the social interaction and connection was too high, and then you met with the reality. Then you have to take a while to process that. So that was what caused the sudden loneliness. And then, of course, after you left the place after the 2 hours, then you go back to what you normally do. And then I'm very sure that you would have learned that you shouldn't put a lot of expectation for social interaction with strangers again. So that's what I think or happened to you actually.
Well, so that's not too far off, because when I go back to my room, about 2 hours later, I was able to process everything that happened. Like that feeling is gave me some kind of epiphany, because I wrote about it, and it came clear that my expectations were set too high, or generally this being in a pool or with other fish, but like you are repelling every one of them.
Yeah.
So like just come towards me, like just shake hands with me. And I think that it was just a collection of really wrong things. So let's digress here towards something that is connected well to loneliness. Before we went on here, you said that loneliness doesn't necessarily lead to depression.
Yes.
And my argument here was that you may be right.
Yeah.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
But I think it greatly induces loneliness, because when we begin to isolate themselves, it's when they become depressed. To an extent, like it's not the only factor, but it's a factor that leads people to becoming really depressed. So I wanted to explain depression here first. Then we try to like dissect it, see what causes this thing and other factors that we can combine.
Of course. In psychology view, depression is when we have a persistent feeling of sadness and loneliness. Okay, so now look at the two keywords: persistent feeling of sadness and loneliness. Okay, somebody can be lonely and not sad. Okay, and then maybe somebody is lonely and then longing for attention and then social interactions, but the person is not sad. But depression is okay. That privation, somebody is heartbroken, and then he is there fantasizing all the good moments he had when everything was going rosy, and then now he is back in square one. He can't have access to it again. Then he's thinking too much about it and fantasizing all the good moments and all. So that is persistent feeling of sadness. So that is depression.
That this does remind me of something, because I feel like if you can put one and two together, you actually find out that there's a relationship between present, past.
Of course.
When you start romanticizing the past,
Of course.
you get depressed a lot. Because I remember in the days when a bottle of water was, a bottle of Coke was like 10 naira.
Oh, yeah.
And now you're like 250 or something.
250, yes.
So and I think this is something Sigmund Freud said. It is when people get to a point in their lives where the present is a little too much for them. They want to return to the state of infanthood, being a baby and not having to worry about anything. People begin to be nostalgic a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just an interesting connection to make, between the present and the past. When you try to like make a connection between those two things, you become a little depressed.
Yeah, especially when the past is full of traumatic events. Okay, traumatic events or sad events.
So you also think that the past can also like have an effect on the present, because you can think about your past in a way, and that past like affecting you. Because if the present is tough, you can think, reminisce, and be nostalgic about the past. But if the past was also like, maybe
good, pleasurable, something like that.
Yes. So if there's some kind of dynamic between present and the past, they can equally create depression within people.
Yes, they can equally create depression in people. In fact, because when we talk about sadness is not, people don't just get sad. Something must have happened to induce sadness.
An emotional chord that has been struck.
Exactly. So sadness don't just happen. So and then now you're lonely, and then at the same time you're sad. And then that is persistent. Then depression begins to set in. So that is and that is not something is always emotional.
So depression is a byproduct of sadness.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and then the truth is this: as humans, girls, we always have our expectation cut short sometimes. So, in fact, to be very healthy, you need to be sad for a while.
Really?
Yes, to be very healthy, you need to be sad. If you are always happy, you won't even know what it means to be sad. Okay, so you need to be able to define what being sad means. Okay, because the truth is this: you are relating with people. Okay, when it comes to humans, there's a lot of uncertainty. So and then it comes with a lot of learning as well. So psychologically, you should be sad. Okay, but just being sad for a while, then of course you rationalize it, then move on again. Then it means you've learned.
It's almost like taking a break.
Yeah, it's like taking a short break for a while, and then
just instead of being all happy.
It's
almost like when children are too happy, you want to call them back on.
Come down,
sit down
10 minutes.
So it's almost that same process that's going on for life. When you feel too happy, I think it's almost like I've been in a bar for a while. Like this neighbor is here for too long. Something's wrong. So
God damn, the phone, they take delight.
Just rationalize your sadness and then be happy. So the point here is that the state of sadness is important for healthy psychological well-being.
Yes, so it's just that it must not be. Now, when the sadness persists, okay, I said persistent sadness. I didn't just say sadness, persistent sadness, because of course you should be sad for a while, then you rationalize it, then you get better. Okay, so and then of course it means you are living your own head. It means you are relating, you are living with human beings. So I never held it that way.
You said people should be sad.
Yes.
for mental well-being.
Yes.
And then, but you said if it's persistent, it becomes a problem.
Yes, it becomes a problem.
If your sadness is reoccurring, if you wake up, you feel a sense of nothingness. You
Yes.
know, you go to bed, you don't have a reason to wake up.
Yes.
Like all of these things.
Yes, all of these things.
You're actively in a state of disorder.
Yes.
Sadness. Now, all of these factors compounded together can lead to depression. And depression is something that it's not too good for you.
It's not good at all.
Because no one knows. We say it's okay to be depressed for a while.
No. Depression is negative.
It's negative.
Yes.
It's negative.
It's
Sadness
totally bad.
Yes.
Yes.
Depression is negative. And so, how do you think people find themselves depressed? You know, because even me, let me take myself for example. In my philosophical inquiries, I have found things that actually make me very sad. You know, it is this saying that knowledge makes you sadder, not happier.
Of course.
Yeah. I have found that out in a very bad way. I think it was last year I became an existentialist, and that is this field of philosophy that advocates for
knowledge.
A person existing, then finding that meaning for existence, finding a meaning that justifies their existence, not essentialism, which basically means that your essence in life has been, dictated by your religion, your ideology, your sex, whatever it might be. So like imagine him like removing all of these baggages, even though I was brought up a Muslim and everything. So it's brought like this pool of sadness, but in all of the sadness, I took a break, and I was able to find a bit of balance. So I think that your philosophical inquiries, your personal lives, and like relationship, anything, there are factors there that will beset you and cause you to become depressed in some way. Maybe your girlfriend of 4 years gets married to another guy.
Okay.
You're invited to the wedding, or your mom passes away, or you lose your job, or it could be anything.
Life happenings.
So, what are some? Like I've already explained to an extent.
Yeah.
But I want you to deeply explain some factors that can lead people to become depressed, and after that, we can now see if we can dissect these things and see a way for people to get out of depression.
Okay, of course. For when we're talking about depression, to a lot of people, what made them depressed, is very different, and this is as a result of our tolerance. Okay, because I know of someone that feel they course a particular course for 5 years on OU campus. Okay, and I know of somebody that just failed once, and then just once. Then he went into a persistent sadness, and then became depressed. That he needs a psychotherapy to get back to his normalcy. Do you understand? So why we have someone that's been failing for 5 years, and of course he still continues with his life as though nothing is happening at all. So I would say that for different human beings it is very different. Tolerance, how we see life, and it all boils down to how we see life generally. Okay, and then it can also be because in depression there is something we call learned helplessness.
Learned helplessness.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Learned helplessness means that this is a state of being. This is a state of being that person believes that it can be helped, but when person believes that it can't be helped,
accepting fate,
exactly, something like that. That's accepting fate.
I want to add something before because that state of helplessness thing. You remind me of a quote from Carl Jung. He said, "The unconscious will direct your life, and you will call it fate." It's almost like, if you don't take control of your life, this will just be happening to you, and you find yourself in a place and be like, "Oh, what is fate?"
This fate.
So, please go on.
Yeah. So the learned helplessness. So he says, that's you just seeing being failing is normal, and then you just take it like that. So you just feel like, okay, when it is time to pass, of course I will definitely pass. But then you just put it, let it be normal. You're thinking that that particular feeling, it is normal. This is what you do. This is very common. You see
Yeah.
married women in abusive relationships. In fact, it could just come on boyfriend, girlfriend in abusive relationship. And then you see the boy keeps beating you. And then you see the girl still saying that I love this guy. I can't leave him. I can't live without him. And then the boy keeps beating God. And then
I wish that this was like a philosophical episode, because I have so much things to say. I was ready to quote Jean-Paul Sartre. He's the one that said people hold on to their bad fate because they don't have themselves. They are afraid to take the next option. Like holding on to that person because they are the best person for you, not because you are willing and capable of moving on to the next best option.
Okay, that's philosophical.
Yeah.
But psychological view, that's learn helplessness.
Yes, God, it's so interesting.
Yeah, so that's you see, people do that, and then you see them from there. They go into depression, and then it got so bad that it becomes normal to be depressed. You hear people say that they've been depressed over a long period of time, and they've learned to cope with that, so they think it is actually normal.
Do you think it comes with people having some perhaps not warped experience of reality or understanding of reality, but their own perceived understanding of what reality is? You know, if I lose 10K,
Okay,
I can be like, that's just life.
that's just life. Yeah,
And that's just life in a positive way.
it's a positive way. Yeah.
Other person can be like, that's just life. Fuck.
Fuck. She said the last.
Exactly. So that thing you said with tolerance and understanding of reality.
Yes.
So I do believe here that there are different things that beset humans. You know, Nietzsche said, "To live is to suffer." he said, "To live is to suffer. To survive in the suffering is to find some meaning." Like, okay, guys, you're not just. It's not exactly like an evolutionary discovery for you to find out that Shiggy did life,
Yeah,
right?
of course. Yeah.
Shiggy, okay.
Of course, the Shiggy.
Don't traumatize it.
Yeah.
So I think different things beset people in life, and it's because it's all psyche. If your serotonin is low and your dopamine is high,
Yeah.
it's unequal.
It's unequal.
Or your dopamine it activates your fight or flight response.
Of course, yeah.
And your serotonin instead it is linked with your nervous system.
Yeah.
And it indicates that you are well situated in any social hierarchy that makes it stable for you that, okay, financially I'm okay, mentally I am okay. But if your serotonin is low and your dopamine is high, any small thing is scaring you, because that can lead to anxiety, can lead to depression.
So yeah.
So it's all dates back to like neuroscience facts here. I don't want to get into that.
Of course, theory. Of course, neuroscience. It is. You know, you've forgotten that there's a fact that you forgot here. Of course, this neuroscience, this sharing of all these hormones, and then the way they are deposited in our body system and co.
Yeah.
It is the quantity they have in our body system. It is actually determined by our level of exposures and behavior. Okay, for instance, if I'm the type that, okay, maybe I was exposed to sex early in life, then then my love for sex is so much. Then my what's the name of the one responsible for sexual drives again? I think
Honiness.
Okay, just put it like just put it like so that will be more secreted in my body because of my experience. So my early experience causes more secretion of that hormone in my body. So it's not just neuroscience. I mean, there is a science behind neuroscience, which is actually what you have been exposed to. Okay, because what you have been exposed to, what you're doing, the things you have seen and everything, so causes unequal secretion of some hormones, okay, that can induce this behavior. So it's not just that the hormones are just unequal.
And I think if I get your point correctly, and
Yes.
if you perfectly categorize all of these things that factor into depression, you find out they are actually all psyche.
Because
It's all your head.
it's all in your
All
head.
your stats, psychology, neuroscience, evolutionary
Yes.
biology, but it's all in your head. And it's all of it in your head can also make you help you make some decisions in life.
Yes.
Like, oh wow, I'm actually the one that's worrying too much about this.
Yes, I'm not the one worrying too
I'm
much.
the one like putting myself in helpless state.
State. Yes.
It's not.
I could have went, just let's go.
I could have.
Yes.
I could have moved on from my ex. I could have. Some Jordan Peterson. If you look past his political comments, is actually a good clinical psychologist. I listened to him talk about some of his clients, and whenever he asks his clients about depression, he asks them, "Okay, first, do you have a job? One, no. Do you have a lover? No.
Nope.
Do you have a pet? No.
Nope.
Do you go to school? No.
Nope.
Are you close to your parents?
No.
Like these things are almost always social. Like if you go to someone, something is holding on to it, something is justifying your existence.
Yeah.
Right. This guy said, Albert Camus said that whatever gives his life is meaning is what is stopping him from committing suicide. It's a piece.
That's like he always wants to commit suicide.
Oh, there's something, there's someone, there's a lover,
There's a lot
there's
of
family,
There's a
there's job, there's big face podcast guests and audience. so please guys, I'm not trying to commit suicide, but please go and like this video and subscribe and invite your friends. So it can be so philosophical and so psychological at the same time, because we are all intertwined. Your philosophy of life can greatly affect how you perceive life, and in retrospect, how you behave toward yourself, how you behave toward others.
Yeah.
So I was going to talk a little more about some ways people can get out of depression, but since we are going to end this episode on a discussion of therapy,
Yeah.
I think we can do that
Then. Yeah.
So let's talk something that is also tied here to depression, which is trauma.
Okay.
Yeah. One of my friends, Olani, said recently that most people, when it comes to character development, they need to have some kind of some people. Let me see if I can phrase it correctly. Trauma should happen to people who should go through character development.
Well, I will not agree with that. Well, we definitely not agree with that.
I will also, because trust me, I know what trauma feels like.
Yeah.
I've only suffered one trauma. No, I won't say one, but majorly one this year, and I know how getting out of that. I don't know if we had like multiple sessions of this, and it led to like different types of disorder. And luckily, being a rational person, I was able to walk out of it. Some people can never be able to walk out of it. Some people are traumatized for life. There was even a point where I was like, I asked Google, how long does trauma take to go away? I would see sometimes 6 weeks, sometimes 1 month, sometimes all your life.
Yes.
But
Thanks.
I'm lucky, despite the fact that I suffered a trauma this year. I am climbing. I've managed to climb out of it up to like 90%. And it's mostly all thanks to you, and mostly all thanks to, my understanding of life. Because it's almost that thing again, tolerance.
Yes.
If it happens to you, you can live in that state of helplessness.
Exactly.
And
So
you may not even be willing to seek external help, because it's just helpless. It's helpless, guys. What's it all? That's it. So trauma here. How do you think people find themselves traumatized? And let's start with that first before you even go on.
okay. All right. So being traumatic, being trauma as it is, it's it's always tied to specific events. Okay, because when we say I went through a trauma, okay, it means I went through an experience that almost made me not myself, that almost create a big hole, okay, left to be filled, my mind, my head. Let me use this to explain it. There was a patient of Sigmund Freud.
Okay.
Okay. Now, of course, Sigmund Freud is the most influential psychologist that's ever
He
lived.
basically revolutionized psychoanalysis.
Of course, yeah. So he had a patient. So the name of the patient is Hannah Ho. So Hannah Ho went through some traumatic events that anytime there is a slight maybe there's just a bed or that it's just windy, okay, that has something to do with a flashback of that event. Then it started having the patient will start having panic disorders, then start panicking unnecessarily or start slumming up or start fidgeting. You see people hands shaking because of things they had to go through. So trauma is something that is very negative and very bad.
Very bad.
So the common traumas that we have, especially students, especially ladies, because I think ladies go through a lot of traumatic events than men.
Yeah.
Okay, of course, because there's a lot of the common ones we know of is rape,
Sexual assault.
Raping. You see, I've seen some ladies talking to me about their rape experience before. It's so sad. In fact, the thought of them talking about it make them so sad that as they are talking about it, they are crying. I have to tell one of my we can stop talking about it.
I like there's something that you made mention of here.
Yeah.
When you initially started this statement on women mostly being victims of trauma, I probably would have taken that as a personal opinion, but I think it's actually statistically viable that this is the case. Like, I know this for a fact that being a writer myself, I try to look through my friends' writing however I can. I remember one of my friends, when it started, she said she was writing a book. In the book, she's trying to distance herself from that book. It's almost like writing Allegro's experience. For there are aspects of Allegro in that book, and I could see the pattern, and that's to ask questions. And she became vulnerable and explained to me, and I was like, wow, at this age you were exposed to this. And it happened again and again and again. Different people, similar patterns. And I think being vulnerable as women to really aggressive and undisciplined men, because men are naturally aggressive, but disciplining them kind of like makes them use the aggression for good, for security, protection and concern. So I feel like there's a pattern here when it comes to, women largely being victims of trauma. And I saw this psychological fact too, that women around the age of 21 are mostly the ones that are claustrophobic and agoraphobic. Afraid of enclosed spaces, or afraid of public speaking.
Of course.
But anyway, please go on with your point.
So of course it's likely due to traumatic events. Maybe peradventure it happened in an enclosed space, or it happened in this kind of setting. I have a friend one time. This friend, anytime we're talking, of course the normalcy inside campus is that there is no night. Why? Because campus environment is always safe. So, but this particular girl, once it is 6 p.m., even if the lecture is still going on, she will be going to her hostel. But there's nothing you want to say. It went on like that for more than 2 years on campus. She will never come out at night. You will have to go to her room in Moremi to visit her. She will never even, once it is 6 p.m., she will never step out. So she will leave her class by 5:50, make the lecturer they talk fire. Yes, she's going to come back to her hostel. Then, it gave me concern because when I asked her that, okay, why is this like this? Then she first appreciated me for noticing, because a lot of people don't even know. And then she has to tell me about her experience. Well, okay, it happened around 7 p.m. She was just walking in the street. People were even there. But then it just happened that the people didn't really notice. okay, because it was already getting dark, and then the way they drug her and so on and so forth, things went on like that. So that created a fear and panic. So to her, 6 p.m. is like 2 a.m. in the midnight. So she has to know that, oh, it's already getting to 6. I have to go to my place where I feel safe and never come out till the next day. So and then of course I get talking to her and then make her feel safe with me. Then I was so glad the first time she walked with me by 7 p.m. went to buy acid hot and then so it was quite cool. She was holding on to me all the way. She was holding on to me all the way, holding on to me.
And imagine the number of people who are out there without the kind of help.
Exactly, who don't have that kind of help. And then because of course, women naturally, they are emotional being.
Yeah, very neurotic.
Very neurotic. So they compared to men that just aggressiveness, and then all they have to just do is to channel it well.
Yeah.
But women, once they are exposed to this kind of treatment, this trauma, it doesn't really go away.
Allegro, we stop on that go away thing. I'm going to try like bring something here. So trauma, I feel like just like you walking down the street. Let's try to visualize this. You want to go down the street to buy akara or whatever. Now, between now and you're getting to that place, you are aware of every possible outcome. Okay, as I go out, my guy will probably open gate, or people will probably walk by. But what you don't expect is people jumping out of the bush to rob you of your belongings,
of course,
or shoot in the air, or like any unpredictable outcome can put a stop on your plan from getting to from going to this place to that place.
Yes.
So trauma also works that way. You have a planned behavior. You have expectations. You have mapped out your environment, psychologically speaking.
Yes.
You have mapped out your environment. It's almost like if you put a rat. I think this is some psychological as well. If you put a rat in a new place, before the rat can sleep, it will first go to every corner, check every corner, make sure everywhere is safe. There's a door here. Okay, that means that I will sleep this way. Look towards the door. Humans operate like that, so you map out your territory before you become safe. Now, something happens within that territory that you did not predict, and that can disrupt your psychology.
Yes.
And when that disruption takes place, it is very, very hard to get rid of it. You can forgive, but you cannot forget.
You can't forget.
Because your brain has, indicated that this event, this place, poses danger to you.
Danger.
And it's very, very difficult to get rid of that idea in your head.
Yes, and that is exactly what trauma means.
Yeah.
Okay. So and then the one thing about all traumatic event trends that I have experienced, do I just say experience?
No, it's fine.
And I have
you've observed.
That I've observed, okay, that I've seen. It is always very shameful. They can't talk about it. That is why it became more worst, because when you go through a traumatic event and then you can talk about it, you will heal quickly. Okay, but when it is so shameful that it poses a stigma, and
it even poses danger to you if you ever talk about it to some authorities.
Exactly.
Someone's like a victim blaming.
Exactly.
What were you doing there? What did you go there?
Exactly.
Why did you drink? Why did you do that?
Exactly that. Because we are in an environment that doesn't really care that much about mental health. So because of that, they have to keep it to themselves and be going through this week in, week out, and they just try their best as much as possible to just learn to live with it. People learn to live with it, and
because you've chosen to live with it instead of addressing it, it doesn't go away.
It doesn't go away.
It's almost like, this boils down to psychological fact again. The first way to solve any problem is by identifying it. Know that there's a problem here.
There's a problem here.
Then attempt to solve it. knowing there's a problem and trying to solve it are two different things, because it's almost like that state of helplessness again.
Yeah.
Right? There's a problem here. What can I do? What can I do? What should I do? I can't do anything. I've accepted my fate, and that lives with you, and it grows with you, and because you are growing, so is your brain growing, and because your personality and your brain is solidified by the age of 25. When that happens, it becomes difficult to get rid of any bad thing from your childhood, because your personality has already been solidified. It has been formed. It has been formed. Although you grow physically, mentally, personally, all things that have solidified with your brain are kind of difficult to get rid of. And I think that's why childhood trauma are the worst kind of trauma to go through.
Yes.
Because you were so harmless. So
harmless.
And maybe you had a beautiful picture of the world, right?
Exactly. And there's always a beautiful construct in a child's brain of the whole world. So they see the whole world as a very happy place. Okay, yeah, they don't know, they don't understand.
They're around a lot.
They don't understand what sadness means. They just play around, fight with their, peer groups, and then, they play together again after like 5 minutes fight. They get together again, and you see them doing their things, and they are so happy in their own world. Then something just happened, then take them off that world. Then they started feeling unsafe. Imagine creating a world that, I can live there, it's a beautiful place and this, and then suddenly, boom, they can no longer feel safe. It's very, very
It can also happen instead of adulthood. We are still going to see how we can solve these problems hopefully by the end of this episode. So let's try and talk about something else here. Anxiety.
Okay.
I think anxiety is also another mental health problem that isn't well spoken of. As you know, I had anxiety last year. It was quite severe. Anxiety that leads to a bit of paranoia. It's quite severe, and I think I am happy for my kind of personality. There are some things that when you go through it and you come out of it, you come out a different person.
Yes.
Sometimes in worse shape, and sometimes in the best shape. Coming out of most of these things right now, that we've discussed, it enables me to put myself in shoes of other people who are going through the same thing.
Yeah.
It's almost like, if you've never gone through it, it's almost like explaining color to a blind person.
Created the empathy sense in you.
Yes. You understand. You know how it feels like. And I haven't gone through most of these things myself. I've never been depressed, but I've been sad. I know what that feels like. I've had anxiety. I've been traumatized. Most of us have been traumatized. If you're Nigerian, trust. I want to
ignore. Of course.
Mount up. You can see one or two things. You mount up. Like, life is not perfect by any stretch of imagination. Go through things. Trends go through us. So, anxiety here. How do you think it comes about? I mean, it can come from being traumatized. Maybe don't want to go to that place again, and they're like, oh no, I'm not going there. It can be passive anxiety. It can also be just objective anxiety. So I want you to explain anxiety here, and I can see where I can come in.
Okay, now talking about anxiety, it is not totally negative. Okay, anxiety is not totally negative because of course we at some point we have to be anxious about some certain things, okay, to actually function properly in the society. Okay, for instance, when we saying, okay, how I'm having, let's say by December is exam period, and then there is, okay, I have
it is a budget.
Exactly, I have to study up. I still have about 6 course outlines that I've not touched, and my exam is December, so I have to work very hard towards it, and just thinking about the exam date alone, I'm already anticipating fears and so on. And then this anticipated fear can actually help me make better decisions. Like, okay, now let me just go and meet somebody that can help me out with
It can, but the downside is they also need to make Very bad decision.
Exactly.
Very bad
Exactly. So
decisions.
that is why I said that it is not totally negative, but so when anxiety is it is persistent, okay, that you're always, that is,
In
it
that
now
state of
removes, it
fear.
removes your sense of normalcy. Okay, for instance, if I'm having an event that I want to coordinate, of course I can be anxious about it. Of course, my tutorial plans this particular session because of a lot of competitions and so on. Of course, I was anxious a little bit, but I was just like, okay, I was still going to do my thing and make a plan and all. Of course, it was the anxiety that I have for, okay, the whole, how the whole tutorial is going to be, and then I make proper plans afterwards. Then after the proper plans, I just felt that, okay, yeah, I was good. And then now, of course, I'm still feeling a lot of competition and everything is not going that rosy. But
Okay.
then,
So Allegro, before you go further, I think what the consistent thing I've noticed here is fear. Fear lies at the bottom of it. And sometimes fear can be a good thing.
Yes.
Because if you're afraid that you're going to starve tomorrow, you might have to work hard.
Yes.
If you're also afraid that you're going to starve tomorrow, you might get into crime.
Yes.
So fear is a driving factor
Yes. Of course, fear.
of a lot of things.
Yeah, literally, anxiety means anticipated fear. Literally.
How do you think people perhaps I should tell you my own story. Maybe you can now like dissect it. Although it's not that deep. I'm only going to share like the part I can share. But I think mine started when I experimented with weed.
Okay.
And I think it heightened my senses, all of them, of taste, because I become hungry of everything, right? And because I was actively consuming intellectual things, it was also partly physical, but I'm only going to talk about the mental part. So before like speaking to you about it, I met with my doctor. She said, Ismail, you cannot be on med. You need to. She basically said, touch some grass, because what she advised me to do was to go out into nature, play around, walk around, and she asked me to see new places, and that's why I traveled to Calabar last year. One of the reasons, anyway, also because there were very fine women there.
Of
course. So anxiety can be induced by plenty things, and getting rid of it can be very hard. I think my anxiety came back this year, but then it left. It came back temporarily.
Okay.
So I've been dealing with ideas of death a lot. I've been thinking about death a lot. Not personally, but like, what does it mean? How can we, I don't live in fear of my mortality. I really accepted that I'm very, very mortal. So, but I thought I accepted it fully until something happened. I have this friend of mine, I think I'll tell you about him, that he was on drugs and he was losing weight. He basically accepted his fate, because that thing, it messes with your brain. And the way he was talking about death, like he's accepted it, that he's just waiting for himself to, he's just waiting for a day for him to just OD, and that'll be it. And that just heightened my sense of my understanding of death again. Like that, this person had known for practically a good chunk of my life is gone. So that brought back the anxiety. I could not concentrate. I was in the room when I called him. I had to go outside, walked around, and I called you. Allegro, this is what I'm feeling. This, what should I do? Just say, you can't help him too much. Just talk to him and give him my number. Yeah. Anxiety, so much as it is driven by fear, is going to always be there.
Yes.
How you deal with it is what matters.
Exactly.
So, how do you think psychologically, probably using my own example, how do you think people find themselves being anxious, being paranoid?
Okay. Well, of course, we are always scared of things we don't know.
The uncertainty.
Okay, things we can't get hold of. we always be scared of it. In fact, that is exactly what created
Horror movies.
horror movies and then idea of that's what exactly created the idea of fear. Okay, because of uncertainty.
The fear of the unknown is the greatest.
Exactly. So we don't know things. So now if we don't know things and then it's causing us to be scared, then what are we supposed to do? We are supposed to talk to people or try to know. Okay, because something is consistent here. In as much as you are living, you're on health, there will always be things you don't know. Okay, and if there are things you don't know, it means that there is always likelihood to be anxious. Okay,
For you to be afraid of that thing.
yes, for you to be afraid of that thing.
Even that thing that you don't know is there.
Even if that thing that we don't know is there, so there's always tendency to be afraid of that. That is why anxiety is not totally negative. So of course, it can be a reason for us to know more. Okay, to ask questions more. You know, yesterday I was inside Angola yesterday night, and a guy came to the place I was and was asked, you are Allegro tutors. Okay, you've been taking tutorials for 5 years now. I said 105, and then the boy was just asking questions that, okay, does that mean that for the 100 questions they are going to give us in the exam, does that mean that the 2 hours 30 minutes is not going to be enough? Now I perceived fear. The boy was already lamenting that I didn't even do maths well in secondary school. Now I just got here and then they are just giving us mathematics, and it's not just ordinary math again. It is now further mathematics. So you see that anticipated fear. He was already scared, but now because he was scared, he was not fantasizing that fear in his room. He came out to ask for more, to talk about it. So after I was done talking to him, he became more calm, and then he has a little bit, in a way, dealt with that anxiety. So he knows how to properly face what he's doing. So in as much as we humans, in as much as we are living, there will always be fear of the unknown. It will always happen. So it now boils down to, in every areas of life at all. So it now boils down to, how can we handle it?
Okay.
How can we handle it? That is the only thing we can talk about.
Hopefully, we get to that by the end of this episode.
Of course, we'll get to it.
Now, one last thing before we talk about therapy. Let's talk about dreams.
Okay.
We all have dreams.
Yeah. Everybody have dreams.
And, there's been times where I just want to tell someone that I had a dream last night and you were there. I don't know if that makes it one of my dreams or a pervert.
Well, maybe.
Probably both. But we all have dreams.
Yes.
And dreams are necessary because they provide you with some archetype of behavior. You know, I wrote about dream recently because I was trying to figure out what does it mean, being inquisitive myself. And when I tried to learn about it, I was taken to psychology.
Of course, dreams very psychological.
I ended up with two schools of thought: the Jungian by Carl Jung and the Freudian by Sigmund Freud. Now, from what I understand, when I was in IRS, it was simplified. Life was very simple.
Okay.
Good dreams come from devil. Good dreams come from God.
And the bad dreams come from devil. Okay.
And the ones that don't make any sense, just forget them.
Don't forget them.
And wake up and say Bismillah. That was so simple.
Yeah, that was so simple.
You grow up and you want to. I mean, maybe right to my extent, but you grow up and you want to confront these things. It's not just having them be superstitious, because you can basically throw away the things that can be valuable to you.
As being superstitious.
There are people that can decipher dreams and so on and so on. Mm-hmm. Now, for Sigmund Freud, he believed that dreams are part of our suppressed psyche, and when they are subconscious, they are not able to, be physically expressed. That means they are repressed. Your fear, for example, can be subconscious. Then you get high or you get drunk, and it's elevated to the conscious, and now you're exhibiting fear, something that was buried in your subconscious.
Yeah.
Now that fear, if maybe you don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't do anything, and it remains in the subconscious, but it's still there, like it's still a part of your psyche. If you have a dream, that fear will manifest itself, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a fear of a dog chasing you and you don't want to address it because your neighbor's dog is always barking, we don't want to address that fear. Your fear is buried in your subconscious, but you are aware it is there. You can go to sleep and have that fear of this dog biting you and like become negative. My guy, I beg, just take that dog.
Just take that dog away or kill it. Yeah.
Yes. So Sigmund Freud, your dreams are places for you to for places for repressed and part of our subconscious to manifest themselves in a way to tell us things or to expose the past to us, or just be full of things that we don't understand, because there are so many things we don't understand.
Yes.
Lots of things we don't know too much about the brain till today. So dreams can be chaotic. Now for Carl Jung, before we even go to Carl Jung, what do you make of that?
Yeah, I think is what Sigmund Freud is majorly saying there is trying to emphasize the conflicts that happen between our unconscious and conscious and preconscious. Okay, because when these conflicts that normally happen between our ego and superego, reality, and then what society is telling us that this is the right thing to do, then when that conflict happens, it happens in our unconscious. That's why you will see some newbies, reverend fathers. Okay, that's why you see them having dreams of having sex in their sleep. Okay, why? Because by choice of what they want to do, they've already tried to repress their sexual drives, and then and of course they are still in training. They are not good. They are not that good yet.
While it's also natural to have wet dreams, it can be intensified by a repression of your sexual drive.
That is adolescent period.
So you don't think that's
it doesn't happen to an adult.
Oh, okay.
If it happens to an adult, it is something else. At adolescent period, your sexual organs are developing and they are crying for expression. Okay, so when they are being expressed, that is when you notice them, and then wet dreams can happen. But other than that period, so when you've already know this is my sexual body, and then your body has already adjusted to the feeling of the sexual urges and co, you will stop having wet dreams.
Okay, let's talk about dreams here a little bit because of the time.
So now on the issue of the Sigmund Freud testing. So these conflicts, it's usually we split it. I will split it into two.
Okay.
So because we have two types of self.
Yeah.
We have the real self and we have the ideal self. Okay. The ideal self is what you aspire to be. Okay. You aspire to be. For instance, I want to be like Mark Zuckerberg. I want to be like Mark Zuckerberg, and I want to be like Mark Zuckerberg. I want to do things. I want to make things. I want to have a lot of money. That is my ideal self. But my real self is just I'm just here having less than 10 cents in my account and having no money. So I might end up sleeping and having dreams where I'm behaving like I'm having meetings with Mark Zuckerberg and so on and so forth. Okay, so because I'm having unresolved conflicts, in my mind, and then this is where it happens. So we tend to explore these parts where we have not become. We tend to explore it in our dreams. That is why you can see that you have a lot of money in your dreams, but when you wake up, I don't have money. Okay, and so on and so forth. So that is what Sigmund Freud was majorly trying to explain. Okay, in the unconscious world, and then that explains a lot of things about our dreams, and that I actually take us to some basic things about dream analysis and so on.
So let's talk about. Sorry, I was taken aback there because of the song that's playing.
Yeah.
I want us to now talk about Carl Jung's version, and maybe we can then close on dream there because of the time. So for Carl Jung, he disagreed with Sigmund Freud.
Yeah.
He said dreams are not, repressed part of us. Dreams, in fact, are part of our psyche, trying their hardest to tell us things, trying their hardest to come to a level of understanding. Okay, now the Greeks, they had a very weird idea of what dreams are. In Greek mythology, this guy is playing songs so loud. Sorry guys, I don't know why my neighbor is playing songs and it's actually so loud. It's like 10 a.m. and our rooms are supposed to be soundproof. Just imagine how loud is playing that song. This audible behavior. Anyway, so for Carl Jung, back to Greek mythology a little bit. So they believe that the dreams are composed of different factors that are beyond your control. Now, God of Dream, Morpheus, colludes with Goddess of the Night, Nyx, to work with Erebos, God of Chaos, because that's what happens in your dreams. Everything is chaotic. Now this is the one understanding. For Carl Jung, he believes that dreams are places for us to get loads of information of the past or the future, because it's tied together. Your brain is your brain. Your ancestors had your brain probably thousands of years ago.
Okay.
And if your line is cut off anywhere in the past, you are dead.
Mm-hmm.
So events of the past, events of the present, and probably perceived events of the future. Of course, there's ideal self, there's who you aspire to be. That is not just your conscious control, but your brain that wants to ensure that you survive. And maybe you're doing something stupid. You just wake up in the middle of the night. Oh my God, okay. Yes. So, to Carl Jung, our dreams are trying to tell us things. I remember there was a day after I finished learning about dreams, I went to sleep and I woke up very early because of something. I woke up around 7 a.m. thereabouts, and school was on break then, so I was supposed to wake up like 10 or 11.
Yeah.
And I woke up to this bed chirping, like, it was just making noise, like, please shut up, I'm trying to sleep. And it was so loud, but I couldn't do anything about it. So I went back to sleep. And in my dream, I put this bed in a cage. I beat it to death. That's definitely a Freudian dream, because I repressed this animosity I have towards this bed. Now, what do you make of Carl Jung's dream, in dream trying to tell us things?
Yeah, okay. In Carl Jung, I think, his perspective of what dream is actually one way. Okay, because dream is because after Carl Jung, a lot of people have spoken about dreams, but then I think Carl Jung is just talking about just one aspect of the dream.
One aspect.
Just one aspect, because the ancient beliefs about dreams is that maybe an ancestor or a god from somewhere is trying to tell us something, or it's trying to give us instruction. But here we do have a lot of dreams that don't make any sense at all. You just wake up, you're like, what is this?
Just wake up with
what exactly
I don't know.
is this? What exactly is this? It doesn't make sense at all. So yeah, of course, that is so that is why I said that it is just one aspect. And then religions, but they believe that dreams can be warning. They can be warnings. They can be where you get instructions from.
But will you agree with me here that dreams, chaotic as they may be, they have things to show us, just as anything that is not so chaotic. For example, now the Greeks and the Egyptians, they put something in their incense which makes them very high, right?
Yes.
Like iron, DMT, mushroom, psychedelic type of high,
Yeah.
and they begin to have some real rich understanding of the world, right? They create gods, they create myths, understanding of existence, like things that you can't rationalize. Like you can't rationally create Zeus, that kind of god, or Hades, or Persephone, or Athena, like. And when you are in chaos too, you can also find things there, because we don't have life figured out. So let me ask you here. I've only provided you with 2 understanding I have of dreams, apart from the religious one. What do you make of dreams?
Okay. I personally, you're asking me my own personal view.
Yes, what do you make of dreams?
I think I'll prefer not to have anything on dreams, because I'm a very practical person.
If you just
Not religious.
Okay.
I believe in what I can.
pragmatism.
Yes, what I can see and what I can really experience. Okay, not that. Okay, I'm in a dream. Except if I start having.
Let me push back against you, and I'll put you on the spot.
Okay, all right.
With that kind of philosophy,
Yes.
or approach to life, wouldn't that make you a less religious person?
Less religious
Yes,
person.
because that puts in the realm of fact, not faith.
And of course, as a rational being, there are some things I take as faith, while there are some things I take as fact. Okay, so but this particular aspect
For this context,
of
go with
course,
facts.
I'll go with facts.
Well, you can't factualize a dream unless you have like chips planted in your brain.
Exactly. That is why I don't make meanings of my dreams. I don't make meanings of them. Okay, I have a dream that this person, this. I don't make meanings of them. I just wake up and go ahead with my daily activities.
And
So, but then if it happens again that I have a dream, of course there are some dreams that I had a dream one day, and then it was quite eventful in a dream. I was this, I was that, then when I woke up, I slept back, hoping to continue the dream, but of course it didn't.
sometimes I wake up on a broad dream. I want to go and pee. I'll just close my eyes. I walk like a zombie. God, please come back to the zone. Just press play.
Just press play. Let's continue.
Let's continue from where we stop.
Let's continue this episode. So, and I'm heard people, great writers, great story writers. This is how they get their story. They will tell you they got it from their dream, because after they wake up, especially when they have an eventful dreams, so they're able to put it up in writing and then create a story and make a story out of it. And then when you hear that story, it becomes very interesting.
Just as you've said, I'm a writer myself, and I write a lot. It's what I do for a living. Most of the best things I've written have come from my imagination. And imaginations, and dreams is just a birthplace of imagination. According to the Greeks, dream is a birthplace of imagination. It is where artists go to take their inspirations and ideas from. They wrote it down. Dreams is a birthplace of artists, because you go down there and you see different things. Maybe you fantasized about cars flying, like Michael Bay from Transformers, and everything is exploding. And you had that dream. And I think there's a way dreams have seeped into our linguistic to become our ideal, our ideas. This is my dream. This is my plan. This is my dream. And for me as a writer, whenever I write, I only write because I want to see how it's going to end. I only write because I myself, I don't know what the fuck is going on. It's almost like underneath my conscious self, there's an identity there. And that identity has something to tell. And the moment I start typing, I'm like, bro, where are you going with this, please? And the only way I begin to reread what I'm writing is when I want to edit it to publish it. Then I arrange it in a order, sentence by sentence, paragraph by paragraph, to make sure that everything, it is telling a story. So my conscious and subconscious, we work together. So artists, they work with their imagination, their dreams. And I think I believe that a lot. I really, really believe that a lot. If you're a creative person out there, you need to listen to your dreams. listen to your imaginations. You need to have some high level of daydreaming, right?
Yeah.
Some high level of daydreaming. You need to imagine. So the best creative works come from having a high level of fantasy, having some good understanding of your dreams, because your dreams can tell you things you don't understand.
Yes.
Yeah, your psyche is deeper than conscious.
I totally agree with you. Of
Your
course.
psyche is deeper than what you
I
understand.
totally agree with you.
It's
Rather than making I've seen people break off relationship because they had a dream that on their wedding night something happened. So because of that,
that's something you can't take personally because you're practical.
And when I hear something like that, then because of that, you stop having the emotional connections you have with the person, and then you say that, okay, I think we are not going to have this relationship again. I've heard people say things like that, and I'll be like, okay. And then and I look at them. That is why I love Yoruba culture a lot. They will tell you, Alago.
The dream is stupid.
The dream is stupid. It can be anything at all. You don't have control over it. You can't control what your dream should look like. So once you have dreams, you shouldn't take it important at first. But when you have the same dream persistently, then we have to do a psych evac.
In other cultures, what you call psych evac is what people in world civilizations would have people like shamans.
Shamans,
Yes.
yes.
People with shamans, people that have some ties with
extraterrestrial world.
yes, the spiritual.
Yes.
Things beyond physical realm.
Physical realm.
Now, whether or not to believe that's up to you, but because we don't understand the world, and everything can be purely materialistic unless you are a very objective person and you're like Allegro, who is very pragmatic. So I think we can stop there and talk about a very last thing here.
It's just
Therapy.
Therapy, of course.
The panacea to most of the things we've talked about. During our discussion on trauma, depression, anxiety, loneliness,
Yes.
you certainly alluded to it, but what I've picked up is psychotherapy.
Yes.
Psychotherapy is the kind of therapy that involves dialogue,
Yes.
talk, say your mind. Now, psychotherapy works, but for traumatic people, what works best for them is exposure therapy. Right? That thing that scarred you, try and hold it again. I see that it doesn't hurt.
It's still psychotherapy.
Yes.
I think psychotherapy is a generic word.
Yeah, it's generic, but
It's a
if you
generic
put
word.
psychotherapy in that category, it's very, very niche. Because it's mostly you can't use psychotherapy for claustrophobic or agoraphobic patients. You can talk to them, but when it comes to like acting out the advice you have for them, it has to be like exposure therapy. So when it comes to therapy here, in line with mental health, what do you think people should do when it comes to their mental well-being? Do you think they should seek therapy? Do you think without seeking therapy they should just talk to other people? What do you make of it? What do you think?
Because you said the act of them talking to other people is still therapy. So the most important thing there is what we call emotional intelligence. Okay, emotional intelligence is knowing how to manage your emotions and then manage other people's emotions around you. Okay, so now it is when you going through traumatic events, and there should always be someone that you always feel comfortable around. Okay, because many times, in this our contemporary world, especially a country like Nigeria, pastors, religion leaders, okay, they play a role of a psychologist a lot, because you see them you going through, you don't have an admission, you don't have this, you don't have that, they will say, see pastor, okay, so that I can pray for you. A lot of times it's not,
They feel that void for actual therapists,
yes,
and sometimes for good reasons.
They focus.
Sometimes you just actually need to talk to someone.
You just have to
Not a
talk to
therapist,
not
just
a
talk.
therapist, just talk to someone. So a good number of times they see a pastor, then because that is because this is how therapists work. You have to be willing to talk to somebody, okay? Because when you are not willing to talk,
You know why I know you're right? Because when I mentioned that my friend to you, I
Yes.
said, here's his number, text him. He said, no, give my number, let him text me.
yes,
You need to see for yourself that there's a problem beyond my own control.
beyond my own
I need
control.
external.
I need external, and I have to talk to somebody.
So at the bedrock of every mental help anyone can get, it is this understanding that I need help,
I need help.
and there's no shame in it.
There's no shame in it. Exactly.
Like all of these things we've talked about, because it's me being vulnerable,
yes.
like this personal trauma, experimenting with weed, being lonely, being depressed. It's all being vulnerable, and I'm not shy of it because it's deep down in my humanity.
Yes. It's part of what makes you human.
It makes me human.
Yes.
And I think that I'm trying to make people learn that they can also do this.
Yes.
Talk to people. That's the best way for you to be mentally well. And when I started writing, my writing became my therapy, because I had to get things out of my head. And if they are all in your head, you need to get them out in one way or the other.
Yes.
You know, Jean Piaget, the Swiss developmental psychologist, said,
Psychologist, yeah.
sanity is not in your head. It is how other people relate with you.
Yes.
You can't go to a mental asylum and say and someone is telling you that I'm actually okay, please release me. Sha, calm down first. Take this injection, calm down first.
Yeah, of course.
Let us tie you down.
Let us tie you down first.
So if it's all in your head, put it out there. You are afraid. Allegro hello, something happened. I'm not sure what to do. This guy just hit me, and he hit me last year. Should I hit him again, or should I just do my thing? Ismail, calm down. Yeah, I think you are saying this wrongly. Like let people bring people into your life.
Bring people into your life. You can't exist alone.
You can't say no. We are very social, and you can't isolate yourself. If you have this fear today, this fear tomorrow, it's all going to compound in your head. And you begin to dissociate yourself. And you leave collective consciousness.
Yes.
Because all of us, we think this is normal, and you begin to like deviate a little bit from what is normal. And because you are literally separating yourself from people, society, it becomes bad for you.
Yes.
If you have mental health issues.
Yeah. So that's that. So the pastors and then they do the works of psychologists. It's not always a spiritual problem. In fact, 90% of the time, it is not a spiritual problem. All you just needed to do is to talk to somebody, and then because as you're talking to somebody, they might not really tell you the solution directly, but they might make you realize and then be objective about the current problem you are facing.
I think you're right. I learned something from Jordan Peterson. He said, great psychologists don't offer you solutions. They work through your problems with you.
Yes.
And then you both find solutions.
You find solutions.
Like, you know yourself better than I do.
Yes.
Like, you know yourself better than I do.
Of course.
So when you start telling me that it's Allegro, when I start telling you that Allegro, I'm feeling clinical today, you don't say, oh, go and take this medicine. Like, okay, smile, okay. What do you do? Are you a student? Like, you can, like, I think,
of course, that is exactly how it works. Because at the end of the day, what we are actually longing for is who we can actually talk to, because we cannot always have it figured out. So we have to be willing to talk to somebody. Then that is general psychology. Now, there are some psychotherapies that are specific. We have behavioral modification therapies, such that when somebody have been living this kind of life, and this kind of life is practically causing harm, to that person and making that person go through a lot of, let's say, maybe depression or anxiety or persistent fear or something like that.
Yeah.
So you have to take steps, in in modifying that person's behavior. Okay, because that person has been living in that state of depression or in that state of trauma for a long period of time. So of course this can only be done by professionals. It can't be done by any pastors or imams or anybody.
So
when it comes to see a professional psychologist
when it comes
for
to
that.
when it comes to mental wellness here,
Yes.
what you conclude is that there are different stages,
Yes.
there are different processes to helping us become mentally well.
Yes.
And seek professional help.
Yeah.
Because if you've lived a kind of life that even by your own standard is faulty, you might need professional help. But day-to-day life where, guy, I'm sad about this, I'm angry about this, can it happen to me yesterday? Like things you can talk about, you should talk about them. Everyone can engage in some form of psychotherapy, because in the end, all we have is each other and one another.
Of course.
Right? I don't think you and I've only had to you only come here once to do proper therapy session.
Yeah.
And we talk for like 5 hours.
Yes.
We went at your own lifestyle.
Yes, of course. Of course.
If you got to talk about how you started,
Yeah, of course.
That was very fun.
Yeah.
So most of the times it's only over the phone. I just enter this car and I'm feeling this way. Okay, calm down. Can you come? To call someone, sometimes even before you take a step, ask people the advice. And I believe that all of us, we need a friend.
Yeah.
Your best friends are people that you can tell good news and bad news to. If I can't tell you good news, I'll let go. You're a good friend. If I can also tell you bad news, because all of us, we have our ups and downs.
Yes.
That's just a fact of life.
Yeah, of course.
So we should always be willing to seek mental help, because mental health is really important. And like I said, if you never had to deal with it, you might not have sufficient understanding of the gravity at which it is important. Anxiety, depression, any OCD, ADHD, any kind of mental health, we need to keep our shit together, because life can break you apart.
Yes.
Life is actively looking to break you apart. Life is for the better of us, my guy.
Yeah, of course. So that's the thing. So mental health is is the core of human living. Mental health is the core of human living. So you must always be optimal, with your mental health. So such that when you are being optimal, you can produce good results. You can be very productive with what you're doing. So that is why per time, every human being on earth needs a psychologist. So, but a lot of times, a lot of people can play the psychologist per time. But when it comes to the chronic ones, of course, you have to see a professional. Because, for instance, your girlfriend can ask your psychologist, okay, you went through a very bad day, and then I was there, and then I was held on into traffic, and I was almost fuming, and I was raging in my mind, and this, and I was sorry about you have to go through that, sorry, and then it can just be a kiss in the forehead. That is all you just needed, somebody to just listen to.
We have
and then
someone. We all need someone, and it's a beautiful place to end it. Find someone to talk to. Find a person to love you. Because we are very social beings, and life is too tough sometimes to go, to do it alone. It's too tough to do it alone. I have my own therapists. I have my friends. And I have my podcast and writing audience. So guys, if you've made it this far, please take some of this advice was given. We're not professionals by any means. We're just two guys trying to understand, the world. And I think we've done a good job of that today. So if you've enjoyed this episode, please like this episode, subscribe to the channel, and share with a friend that you think will derive some value from this episode. And you can always come back next week. I post new episodes every Saturday. Allegro, we have come to an end
of today's podcast.
Of this episode of today's podcast.
Yeah.
I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. If you did, please, you can always check other episodes out. I'm sure you equally like them. Like this episode, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next week. And please tell them to subscribe, please.
Okay, all right. I would like you to subscribe to this channel. Okay, it's very educative. Okay, because I myself, I'm not really a person of all-round knowledge, but this podcast has helped me to understand a little of everything that I'm seeing in my environment. You see, the war history, the understanding conflict between nations, understanding why coups are happening and everywhere. If I understand why people watch anime. Yes, why people watch. I'm still dealing with that because I have to. I believe to real human beings, but where people enjoy watching anime and so on and so forth.
You understand. So thank you guys very much.
Right.
I will see you next week.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye bye.